Thank you very much for that nice introduction. I'm glad to know that we have architecture in common. That's a very good start for me this evening. Good evening, everybody. My name is Christopher Beaver. I'm a partner of GA Architects based in London. We are specialists in the design of environments for children and adults with ASD, and by that I mean we design new buildings and we refurbish and alter or extend existing buildings. And I think we should all understand that it is possible to convert an existing building into an autistic-friendly environment with a little knowledge and a little hard work. So with that in mind, I'll start the presentation. I'm going to talk about, that's gone wrong already. What are the features of an autism-friendly environment that are particularly critical to those with ASD? And I'm going to start with wayfinding and the general layout of a building. Oh, yes, that shows much better on your screen than it does on mine. The most important thing in wayfinding is to have a very clear geography. So many buildings you go into now have lots of changes of level, changes of direction, upstairs, downstairs, turn left, turn right, and before you know it, you're lost. That is one of the worst situations for anybody who suffers from ASD. And the plan that you see on the left of the screen is a small building for 12 children with profound ASD. 6 in a house on the left, 6 in a similar house on the right, with no real connection except the central playground area. And the second thing I would like to draw attention to are the curved walls, which you'll see. Here, here, and here, which all help to give a sense of security and lead people around the building so that there are no surprises in terms of coming around a corner and then suddenly you meet somebody you're not expecting to face, as in the top right-hand photograph, where you see a sharp corner. That sort of thing we don't like very much. We don't like the top left-hand one either, where you've got a long, monotonous corridor with doors off, or doors off on one side, windows off on the other in this particular case. Very unfriendly and very institutional. Rather, we would prefer the center bottom photograph, where you see with a blue or green tick, I'm not quite sure what color it is on the screen there, curved wall, which is very nice, friendly, warm, made of timber, and so on. Also the bottom right photograph, which again shows the circulation space, giving access to the bedrooms. Something which isn't specifically shown here, although you may see signs of it in the green room on the bottom right, the use of color coding. That can be used quite extensively in the use of floor finishes, showing the way in a certain color, or the color of doors, for example, grey doors for bedrooms, a different color for living rooms or dining rooms or other communal rooms. Circulation, I think, is probably one of the, that links really to the last photograph or slide. We try to avoid corridors altogether. In fact, the word corridor is banned in my office. We don't use it. We refer to circulation spaces. And you can see in the plan at the bottom right where you come in at the red arrow, you walk through, you can see 3 rooms to your left, 3 rooms to your right, and a fairly generous space in between, which gives access to the outside, so that you always can locate yourself, you know where you are in the building, and you don't feel crowded. The reason to avoid long corridors is to eliminate running opportunities. If anybody has ever seen a young person in a bit of a tantrum belting out of a of a classroom and running like hell down the corridor. It's a pretty frightening experience, and you see that in the picture in the middle there. And the situation you see on the extreme left with the arrow and the long corridor is very much to be avoided. Calm and simple spaces really are a very high priority. This means good acoustics. Good acoustics is probably one of the most important aspects of designing for ASD. Shiny surfaces reflect sound, floors result in impact noise, footsteps clattering along the corridor at night or whatever is not desirable. And so we've managed to persuade clients fairly often, nearly always, to accept carpet, whereas in the past they said no, carpet gets dirty, nasty things happen on it, it smells and it can't be cleaned and all that kind of thing. That actually is not strictly true. We can now find carpets that can be cleaned and don't smell. Anybody wants to know what carpet or where to get them, they can talk to me about it, and I'll willingly tell you. The ceiling you see in the photograph on the left is what I would call a very successful acoustic ceiling. It's stained timber with gaps between the boards. Behind the boards there is an acoustic mat. The sound goes through the gap between the boarding and is absorbed. And that space, with 6 children running up and down having a good time, is extraordinarily quiet. You would be very surprised. On the right, we've got the middle picture is slightly different, because there we do have a timber floor, and the reason for that is it's a dance studio or an arts studio where plays are enacted, children do dances and so on. That's at a school in North London, East London actually, sorry. And you see the folding doors there in the middle, which are designed to divide the space up into 2, are high-performance acoustic doors, expensive, but they work very well when they're properly designed and specified. And you can have 2 very successful spaces side by side, both doing their own thing, making their own noise, with each side not hearing very much of what's going on next door. No confusing textures. That's all part of a calm and a simple space in my terminology. The 2 pictures on the right show you a space that, to me, is not calm, is very confusing, bright colors, words. You see on the top picture the word library spelt so you can't even read it, even if you can read, and of course a lot of autistic people can't. So those 2 photographs show you what we definitely don't want.